Okay, today we're going to look at line integrals over vector fields. So what we're interested in here is we will actually be integrating a vector field over a curve. And so imagine that we are maybe canoeing down a stream, which is modeled by the vector field that I have drawn to the left here. And each of these vectors represents the velocity of the water. So the magnitude of the vector represents the speed, and the direction is the direction of the vector, the direction of the stream. So if my path where I'm canoeing goes something like this, and I'm canoeing maybe in this direction, and this is my curve C, then I'm interested in learning how much the vector field helps me as I canoe down the river and how much the vector field hurts me as I canoe down the river. So what the integral that we're going to develop will measure is, so that it will be called a vector line integral, and it will measure how much the vector field points in the direction of my curve. So a vector line integral basically measures how aligned is my vector field with my curve. So let's write that down. So this measures how much the vector field points in the direction of the curve. So something that we'll come back to actually is we're going to develop this integral, and when the value is positive, that means that my vector field is aligned with the curve, a positive contribution. A negative contribution to the integral will be that the vector field is kind of working against the curve. So let's explore the integral itself, and so we're going to set it up, but the first thing that I want to talk about is in these kinds of problems, when we're looking at vector line integrals, we want our curve to have an orientation. And we're going to refer to a positive orientation of the curve as the direction in which the curve is generated as its parameter increases. So the positive orientation is the direction in which the curve is generated as the parameter increases. So for example, the kinds of curves that we're dealing with here are vector functions, and they might be parametrized by r of t, for instance. And you might remember that the way that we generate a line is we have little position vectors that point to points on the line. And as my parameter t, as t increases, right, because this is all multiples of t times our direction vector, then we get the orientation of the line, right? Our line points in a specific direction. So that's what we mean by a positive orientation of a vector function or a curve. Okay, now let's actually start to define this vector line integral. So we'll first start with a curve that is parametrized by r of s, and it's parametrized with respect to arc length. And I'll talk a little bit about how that comes into play in a moment. And f is going to be a vector field on a region that contains our curve. So let's suppose that I've got my x, y, and z axes here, and a curve in space parametrized by r of s. So I'm going to draw it like an ellipse, maybe some kind of, some curve that looks like this in space. And let's say that it has an orientation that goes in the clockwise direction. Sorry, this is in the clockwise direction, this particular one. And it's in a vector field. So we have little vectors that are part of our field that act maybe in some way on the curve, in some way they don't, right? We have vectors on the inside, vectors on the outside, vectors that interact with our curve. At every point, the vector field is continuous, which means that there's a vector for every single point in space on the region on which our vector field is defined. So we have something going on like this, and we kind of want to measure, well, how much are these little vectors aligned with my curve? Maybe there's a section where they're going always kind of heading in the opposite direction. Maybe there's a section where they're heading in the exact direction that the curve is heading in primarily. And we want to explore this. And so I'm going to zoom in a little bit into a piece of the curve and think about what's going on in a little piece of the curve when maybe I have a vector from my vector field that looks like this. So let's call this our vector F. That's part of our vector field. And our curve, as I mentioned earlier, this particular curve is oriented in the clockwise direction. So it looks like this and parametrized by its arc length. And I want to know, how do I measure the alignment of this vector along this curve? Well, the first thing that we do is we think, all right, the thing that tells me, the object that gives me the direction of my curve is the tangent vector, the unit tangent vector. So let's suppose the vector in blue that I'm drawing is my unit tangent vector. And let's also suppose that the angle between a vector in my vector field and my unit tangent is theta. And that I am looking at a little piece, I've really magnified here, and this little piece of arc that I've labeled with 2 red tick marks, that is a little delta S. And in this little interval, I want to see the effect of that force on my function, or how much of it goes in the direction of the curve. So how much of it goes in the direction of the curve? So to do that, we're going to think about the projection of F onto our tangent, unit tangent vector. And we defined that a long time ago in this course, in the beginning of our course when we were working with vectors. So we want to know, what is the projection of my force vector onto the unit tangent, so in the direction of the curve. And so here we see that we can drop a perpendicular onto the line that contains our tangent line, and we have a trigonometric relationship where cosine of theta is going to be the adjacent length of my projection. Usually we call that scalar or comp, but I'm just going to write scalar projection, divided by the length of the hypotenuse, which is the magnitude of F. And so this tells us from this trigonometric relationship that our scalar projection, what I'm interested in, how much of my vector F is aligned with, in the direction, it goes in the direction of t. What is its scalar component? This is just going to be, if I multiply both sides by the magnitude of F, we have magnitude of F times cosine theta. And now, for reasons that may not seem clear to you at the moment, but will be clear with you for you shortly, I'm going to multiply this expression by the vector, the magnitude of t. And I can do that because the magnitude of t is our unit tangent. So it has magnitude of 1. So now we have that this component of our force along t, this scalar projection, is equal to the magnitude of the force vector, the vector in the field, times the magnitude of our unit tangent, which is 1, times cosine of theta. But you might recall that this expression is just the dot product between F and t. So our little scalar component of the vector field onto my unit tangent in the direction of my curve for a little piece of delta S is F dot t. It's a dot product of these 2 vectors, and I'm going to multiply that component by the piece of the curve that I'm focused on, because ultimately I want to add all of these components throughout the length of the curve. And so that's what I'm using, a little delta S to represent the length of a very small segment of the curve. we are going to then add up all of these components of our vector field onto our unit tangent vectors times a little change in our arc length of the curve. Add up, let's say, from k equals 1 to n, if I've split up my curve into n little pieces, and then we're going to take the limit as this delta s goes to 0. And you might notice that this is in fact the limit of our Riemann sum, and so this is going to generate our first vector line integral over the curve. We're integrating the component of our vector field along the tangent, which is a dot product. And now our delta s, when it gets arbitrarily small, becomes differential ds, so over the length of the curve. And this is our definition of a vector line integral that measures how much of our vector field points in the direction of our curve. In the next video, we're going to do a little bit more work on this integral. Think about it technically, what it might mean, how we might evaluate it, and also explore conceptually what its size might be when a vector in the field is aligned with the curve, going in the direction of the curve, or when it's maybe going in the opposite direction of the curve. So we'll have that conversation in the next video, and then we'll do some examples.